Hello and welcome everyone to episode 7 of Gear Over Beer. I am your host, Noah McCormick, and on today's episode we have Tyler Anderson of You vs. Yesterday Zoom calling in. We're going to discuss why he made the transition from playing Fender to Reverend guitars, what it's like being a lefty guitarist, some more Tom DeLonge / Blink-182 talk that we've kind of seen roll over in a couple episodes now, and who his favorite professional wrestlers of all time are. I had a great time speaking with Tyler. We have a lot in common, from the kind of music that we listen to us both playing Reverend guitars, and the fact that we both love professional wrestling. You can follow You vs. Yesterday at You vs. Yesterday on all social media, and make sure you go ahead and listen to them on the streaming platform of your choice. Now with that, let's get into the interview. Cue the music.
It's Gear Over Beer. Gear Over Beer.
All right, we're recording. We're back with another episode of Gear Over Beer. I believe this is episode 7. Today we have Tyler from You vs. Yesterday. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm just hanging out, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. That's what we kind of talked, how both of our AC isn't really working where we're recording. So we'll probably get pretty sweaty. My hands are already sweaty, and I've been in this room for like maybe 10 minutes. So it's going to be fun.
Dude, I feel it. I wore this to like cover my insecurities, because I do that. But yeah, this is not happening. This is like pure flannel. This is not happening right now. I'm way too sweaty for that.
For sure. So how's quarantine been for you?
It's been
times.
quarantine. I like quarantine. That's fun. I'm gonna start.
Well, that's what I was gonna. Well, someone. So we'll talk about this later. Well, first off, let's get this out of the way. You're wearing a D-Generation X shirt, which is fantastic.
You know it. 2 words, brother.
So we'll talk about wrestling because that's already on my to talk about list. But for Father's Day, I did a cameo of Santino Marella.
No way.
And he kept saying the quarantines. And so now every time I want to say, how are your quarantines? And I end up saying quarantine. So how are your quarantines, I guess?
Well, first off, I'm stealing that from now on. So thank you. It was, and I don't want to exaggerate here, but it might have been my peak. You might be seeing post-peak Tyler right now. Just doing my part by just staying home and doing nothing and watching like 4 seasons of regular show was probably the greatest time of my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I had no problem not going outdoors because I don't do that anyways. But yeah, so we went, let's see, I think it was like May 12th I went back to work though. So it was kind of a bummer. So now I'm just sort of cruising by, wearing the mask all the time and stuff. But quarantine itself was really fun. How was yours, man?
It's been pretty good. I moved to Chicago during all of this. So left Indiana and moved to Chicago. So that was interesting. I enrolled in the Chicago School of Guitar Making.
Nice.
So I start that on Monday. I'm going just because I wanted to kind of pursue the career of being a guitar tech and a luthier. So that starts next Monday. So that will be pretty dope. Stoked for that to happen.
Nice.
But where have you been working?
So I work at a shoe store in the mall called Journeys. I'm sure everyone's familiar with it. So I just sell a bunch of Vans and Converse to parents who insist their kids' shoe sizes are different than what their actual shoe sizes are. So I get to have that like argument every day. It's pretty rad.
So how's that been going back? Like, has the mall been busy at all, or are there certain stores that are and aren't open?
So when we were one of the first stores to open, so our mall opened on May 12th, like I was saying, and we were one of like 6 stores. So everyone sort of funneled in there, and we made probably 3 or 4 times what we would normally make on like a Tuesday, which was that. It was insane. But thankfully, after like the last couple weeks, it's sort of gradually gone down to normal hours, normal traffic at least. So yeah, it's been better, but it certainly did suck the last couple weeks.
For sure. So that's what I kind of want to talk about, how we met. It's kind of funny. Well, we played a show together. I believe you guys were on tour. You guys were coming through Indianapolis, and we played together at the Irving Theater, which
Absolutely.
both times that we've played together, it's been at the Irving. But I think that first night that we were supposed to play with you guys, like your drummer wasn't able to make it, and so you guys had to do like a stripped down set.
Yep.
And I remember Kramer, because he normally at that point was playing his Tele Deluxe. And
Yeah.
we had played before you guys, and I was playing my Reverend that I had just got. And he's like, "Hey man, I've been kind of interested in getting a Reverend. Do you care if I play yours for our set?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, knock yourself out." And now you guys are Reverend artists. So I don't want to say I'm the one who made that ball roll, but
you definitely gave it a push for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. We were looking to like kind of spice things up because I've been using. I don't want to jump the gun here, but I've been using this Mexican Tele for probably 6 years now. And it's fun, but when you only have one guitar, you can only like
do so much.
It gets kind of boring after a while. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when Kramer, bummed your guitar and used it for a second, we kept talking about it like afterwards, and we're like, man, we should really do one. We should like probably both try to grab one. That way we could match. It could be super fun. Fun fact: our first EP was actually recorded on all Reverend guitars.
Oh, that's awesome.
It goes, the history goes deep. So when we finally became Reverend artists, it was a super exciting time for sure.
Yeah, that's what. Where are you guys from in Ohio?
Dayton, Ohio.
You guys are okay. So you guys are from Dayton, and then Reverend is obviously based out of Toledo. So how far of a drive is that for you?
It's about 2.5 hours, 3. I'm really bad in terms of like concept of driving time.
Uh-huh.
Like I always short ball it for sure.
So you're not the guy to drive on tour. You're not the guy to be the first in the driver's seat.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I am. Like I'm dead quiet when we get into the van. I just like hope that someone raises their hand, and then once either Mikey, our drummer, or Eddie, our bassist, once they're like tired, I'm like third string driver. So.
Third string. Okay, I feel that.
Yeah.
So that's what, in terms of Reverend, you've obviously got the Tele, but are you still rocking the Jetstream 390?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's actually right here. Looks. Here, let's try that again. But yeah, so this is the Jetstream 390. That's the lefty version because I'm a freak, and I chose to do that when I was younger, and I regretted it ever since. But yeah, this thing has served me super well. I've always been really into P90s, and I never like had one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would always like go to guitar stores and play like the whatever right-handed guitar had a P90 in it, because I was just super into just like the punchiness of it. So when I found out Reverend finally made a P90 model and a lefty model, I was like super excited. So yeah, it's been really good.
So how hard is it to find lefty guitars? Like, is that like when you're like going to guitar shops, like, does that just knock out some of the fun knowing that there won't be that huge selection?
Absolutely. When I first started playing guitar though, I started playing upside down.
Uh-huh.
So my dad is a musician. He's the one who got me started in music. I owe him like everything. And he was like playing some blues because he's like really into blues, and that's what I was initially really into when I first started playing music too. He had a bass in a corner or whatever, and he was like, "You can try it. I mean, it'll be weird, but you can absolutely try it." So I started playing bass upside down for probably my first year and a half until I got my first lefty bass for Christmas in like 6th grade or something like that. So I'm really used to playing guitars upside down. So when I go to guitar stores, I feel like I'm more equipped than other lefties because I'm sort of used to that thing.
So was your first guitar a lefty then, or was your first guitar a right-handed guitar that you strung upside down?
My first guitars were lefties, thank God.
Okay. What was it?
I can't imagine like doing the right-handed thing like full time. It'd be weird.
What guitar was it for your first guitar?
It's actually right here. It's really messed up. It is an Epiphone Les Paul. I don't even know like the series of it, honestly. I've had it since 2012. Just like super standard. My dad like surprised me one day after school with it. It was super exciting.
That's awesome.
But unfortunately, if you can see on the headstock here, I snapped this within 2 weeks of owning it. I just accidentally tipped the guitar stand over.
Yep.
It fell on my basement floor, and the thing went like inverse. So he had to like do so much woodwork and glue work and stuff to get it back together. Thankfully, it stays in tune pretty well though.
So your dad is the one who helped you repair it?
Yeah. He's a really, really great woodworker as well. He wears a lot of hats. He's really good at many things. Woodworking is one of them. And thankfully he's done like pretty much all my guitar repairs. I haven't had to take it to a shop except most recent time I had an issue with my Reverend guitar, like first like month of owning it. It was like a weird tuning thing. And I actually took it up there. The guys were super nice. I got to hang out with Ken for a minute, and they were just the best. And they fixed it within like an hour. It was awesome.
Yeah, Ken is the coolest guy. That's what I had kind of met Ken through trying to get him into my get Reverend into the guitar shop I was working at the time, and we could just kind of stayed in touch. And after we put out, and I had been playing Reverend for a little while, and I finally reached out after we had put out our second album and kind of gotten a little bit of buzz from some Spotify playlists. I was like, well, if there's ever a time to maybe try to wean my way into being an artist, now's probably the time. So I just like emailed Ken real quick, and he responded like, "Oh yeah, for sure, not a problem, dude." He's like, "Yeah, well, what are you thinking?" I was like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah, dude, they're super cool. It was like a similar story with us. We were just like, we'll shoot our shot, we'll see what happens, and we were expecting a no, and then it was really cool about it. So
yeah, that's what. So now, because I also have the Jetstream 390, we've got the same one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I've also got I've got the JW1. And then I've also got the Trick Shot, which is like the Telly style pickup configuration.
For sure.
So super fun. But
yeah, man. Which one have you been like playing more often than not right now?
So my number one has always been the JW1.
Classic.
But over the past couple months since I got the Trick Shot probably in February, maybe, because it was right after the album had been released, and I had it for the album release show. So, but that thing is nuts because that's the only Reverend that I have that doesn't have, or that does have the roasted maple neck, and I am a sucker for that.
Really, you liking it?
And that's what the pickups have a little bit more low end and mid range to them compared to a traditional like Telly pickup. And I was kind of talking to Ken about that, and he had said how they had wired the bridge pickup in a way that was similar to like the before the Telly, like the Broadcaster, where it just had the single pickup and it had to have a little bit more low end to it. And I was like, nice, I like that a lot. So
dude, that is super cool. I love how they pay attention to just like
it's like the really small details. Yeah, for sure. Do you use the bass contour knob a lot, like during the set?
Honestly, I used to be really into messing with my configuration a lot. And then after a while, I think it was the tour we did with City Mouth, I decided to just throw that thing on the bridge pickup, keep the contour down, and just go. Because I would find that I always end up messing too much with it, with just like goofing off, being stupid on stage and jumping around and doing a bunch of stupid stuff, that it would eventually land in the bridge pickup anyways. So like, what's the point? So I just keep it there just to keep everything out of the way. And it sounds awesome regardless. So I'm just excited either way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what, so Kramer has a charger, right? Is that what the model he has? The HB, the dual humbuckers. And it's like a cherry burst finish, kind of.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what, is there any other of their models that kind of stick out to you or that you've been considering trying to get your hands on?
Dude, I look at that webpage all the time, and I'm always like thinking like, what could be the second one? Like, you know, I'm saving up a little bit or whatever. I think it's called Air Sonic. It's their semi-hollow. Man, that thing is gorgeous. Like their dark red finish, like the burst or whatever. I've been eyeing that for a minute. And I think the love for the hollow bodies come from like the mutual love of like the Tom DeLonge signature. And I never really got my hands on one. Unfortunately, I've never been actually able to play one. I haven't found it anywhere. So that's like the closest I can get. And it looks awesome. And I bet it sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, dude, that's what, so I had the ES333 Epiphone. I had that Tom signature, and that was the first guitar that I ever broke the headstock off of.
Oh no.
And dude, I remember it was like my freshman year of college, and like I was playing and like the strap had broke and like it just fell and just like, and I remember crying, and I was like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. And that's what there's this awesome luthier repair guy named Mike Stover based out of Muncie, where I was going to college. And I brought it to him, and he got it as good as new. And that's it. Yeah, he
Nice.
saved my ass hard on that one. I remember calling home and being like, my headstock broke off. I don't know what to do.
Were you waiting on that one for a minute too? Like, were you like really looking forward to it, and then you finally get it?
Yeah. So I originally had a Washburn, like HB30, which is like their like version of like a dot or a 335. And I had that because obviously I wanted a Tom DeLonge signature, but didn't have the money.
Sure.
So I got that, and then I eventually traded that in and saved up, and eventually got the Tom, which I don't have anymore because I ended up selling it, which I partially regret, but so I had a custom Jazzmaster built for me.
Nice.
And it's a thin line Jazzmaster with a single dirty finger in the bridge and a single volume knob. And so it's like Tom DeLonge tone just in a Jazzmaster. So it's like a Skiba thing, kind of.
Like the best of the both worlds. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And so that's what here, I'll have to grab it. It's off my shelf.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so sick.
Yeah, that's what's got like the matching headstock.
I love it.
So yeah, once I got that, it was kind of, I had a hard time justifying keeping both, just because I'm a smaller guy. Like
Beat me to it. I was about to say.
I'm like barely 6 feet tall with, shoes on, and the big semi-hollow 333 made me look like a little kid. So,
dude, I feel that. Like whenever I would go to the guitar stores, I would find like the closest thing I could to it. So I'd grab any hollow body, and I'm a little bit shorter than you too. So I felt like a small child every time. I get that for sure. I don't blame you for, consolidating.
That's what it's kind of become a topic of discussion on almost every episode of this podcast so far, is just talking about like Tom DeLonge and Blink. And that's what on the last episode that we just released was with Dave and Zach from Charmer. And Dave is also a big Tom guy, and we were talking, so he suggested that I change my background anytime we talk about Tom. So I'm going to do that for him. So now, where is it? Here we go.
Oh, classic. Love it.
So we're entering Tom talk. So I guess, or even Blink talk. So what's your favorite Blink album of all time? I've got to ask.
Okay. So I think I'm always a little bit torn because my like knee-jerk reaction is obviously self-titled, untitled, whatever. Also, there's a debate there. I'm not going to get into it. But obviously, that's the one that I think does it for most people, right? I feel like it's either Enema or do you call it self-titled or untitled? What do you do?
I call it self-titled.
Thank you. Okay. Because I got into a big, long debate with one of my friends on this a while ago, and I've been always like scared to say the name now. That's why I like hesitated. Let's refer to it as self-titled from now on. I feel better about it.
For sure.
But yeah, self-titled without a doubt is like my number one. But in terms of like one that has the most meaning to me is definitely Neighborhoods.
Okay. That's what another thing that I was talking to with Dave. I said that Neighborhoods is an extremely underrated album, and it gets a lot of shit because it took so long to like be released, and it was kind of done in different studios. But I feel like it's a continuation off of self-titled, and I think people wanted more like Take Off Your Pants and Enema style once they got back together.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like when everybody heard that they were getting back together, they were expecting, oh, it's going to be fun, happy, but then they like didn't realize like the direction the band was actually heading in is something, that's still super fun, but it's definitely not Enema,
Yeah.
Like it's not just 30 minutes of just posse jumps.
Do you have a favorite song off of Neighborhoods?
Oh man. Love is Dangerous is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I just love, it's just super intense for me. One of those. Wishing Well is probably like my go-to though. Like if I have to jump in, it's got to be Wishing Well, right?
Yeah, Wishing Well and Even If She Falls.
Oh, banger, man! I love it
for sure. So, what do you think of like the newer stuff with Skiba?
So at first, I had a lot of trouble picking sides, which I think a lot of people kind of went through that, right? And I feel like everyone's now like not doing the picking sides thing. They're just happy for everyone who's doing their own things. But I was definitely off put when Skiba joined at first. And then I saw him, I saw some like live footage from before they put out California. And I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like he's going in with a lot of respect to the material. Like he's doing his best.
Yeah, well, like when they were playing at like the Roxy.
Yes,
I think, like,
absolutely.
yeah. Yep, I remember watching those videos.
For sure. So I was like super excited, and then Bored to Death came out, and I was even more excited. I could not wait. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, it's definitely not as it's not the same direction that they were going in with Tom, but I could definitely get behind it. But then California came out, and I listened to it as a whole, and I definitely had to like take a step back. I think I feel like it's just everyone's sort of collective opinion on it is. It definitely felt a little more overproduced than what everyone probably would have liked. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like it definitely felt a little too formulaic for me. It felt like, hey, we're Blink-182. We're going to play you Blink-182 songs, and you're going to love it. And there's a couple bangers off there. Sober's a really good one. Bored to Death is a really good one. I like Los Angeles, which I know some people don't, but Los Angeles is pretty good. But so, yeah, my opinion sort of had to take a step back. I had to take a step back from the whole thing. But then once they announced 9, I was like fully on board again. I love that record. It's so good.
I think 9, like no one gave it like the time of day, really. Like really? I feel like a lot of people, like not a lot of people talked about it. I feel like even a lot of people don't even know about it still. I mean, given I'm a diehard Blink fan, so like of course I listened to it the second it got released.
Right.
Do you have a favorite song off of 9?
Oh, dude, Dark Side is. I feel like Dark Side is kind of like the collective banger from that album, but they're all so. There's rarely a bad song. Even Blame It on My Youth has sort of grown on me a bit.
That's what I loved Dark Side until the music video with like all the kids like doing like the floss, and I was like, God damn it! I was like, okay.
I refuse to believe they did it genuinely. I feel like it's got to be ironic, right? There's no way they would just literally grab some Fortnite dances and say that's the video, right?
I'd hope, but or just to piss people off too. I think that's another thing that I could see them doing.
For sure.
But I think the first time, which is like the opening track,
that's really good too.
That was like that song really grabbed my attention straight out of the gate. I was like, okay, like it kind of like this beginning like drums of it really reminded me of like Feeling This.
For sure.
And like I was like, okay, yeah, I can get into this. So yeah, it's I definitely have to be in the mood for the Skiba stuff. Because like I don't know, like I can't like really go into it the mindset thinking Blink-182, because like if I'm going to listen to like Blink, I'm like going to go listen to something with Tom 90% of the time.
Absolutely.
So,
I definitely feel like it's way more cohesive of a record, but I feel like they may have soured people a bit from California, which is probably why people don't like really pay much attention to 9. I don't know, but I think it's leaps and bounds better than California though.
And then are you what's your take on Boxcar Racer, Angels, Plus 44? Big fan of any of it, or?
Oh my gosh. So there was a period in time where I almost exclusively listened to Angels and Airwaves. Yep. I got the summer of 2011 is when I discovered Blink. And then like fall of 2011 that's when I realized Angels and Airwaves was a thing. And I probably listened to that for a good 6 months and like nothing else. That's what made me fall in love with, delay pedals and just like space rock in general,
for sure.
Yeah, man, I cannot get enough. The last, what was it? Chasing Shadows, I wasn't like crazy into, but everything else before that is just incredible. I love it.
That's what. Do you have a favorite record by Angels or?
It's definitely We Don't Need to Whisper, I think. I go back and forth with that and I Empire a lot. But but there's rarely anything I'll skip on any of it. And I love part 1 and 2 as well. All of it's so good. I love the new stuff too, man. Like the new singles are incredible.
Yeah,
I'm
for
super
sure.
excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
are
I
your
think.
thoughts on the singles?
The new singles, I mean, they like All That's Left Is Love is like sounds like straight off of the Love albums.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rebel Girl and what's the other one?
Kiss and Tell.
Kiss and Tell. Yeah, I mean, all of them are. I got to see. I think I saw Kiss and Tell. Let me check. Yeah, Kiss and Tell. When I went and saw Angels on this past tour,
Right.
I got to see the new songs get played, and it was a lot of fun. So I think that they have like the energy and they sound like Angels. Like it's not like it blends in with the rest of their discography, which I really enjoy.
For sure. Yeah, man. I'm loving it. How was Tom's voice when you saw him live?
It was hit or miss. So I saw him twice on that show or on that tour. I saw them in Chicago, and I was front row for that. So I was in kind of towards the middle. So that in terms of like the PA system, I wasn't really getting a lot of it. Yeah, I was. So from where I was, it was really good. And I know he caught like a cold halfway through that tour or something.
Yeah,
something happened. And so then the second time I saw them was in Vegas, and I was up in the balcony. And so I could really hear everything like echoing through the whole venue, and it was not as good. So, but I mean, he did that little acoustic set where he did like I Missed You, Aliens Exist. He did There Is by Boxcar. So like just seeing that was like worth it in the end. So
for sure. I think Tom is the only artist where I can get by with whatever vocals he throws out. I think you mentioned in an earlier one of these the Honda Civic tour, the live set from and that thing, I watched that religiously.
Same.
And his voice is very clearly it's hit or miss, like you were saying. And dude, I love it. I cannot get enough. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how his vocals have changed over time. How it went from like so high pitched on like Enema to like where it's like so low and kind of raspy, and it kind of makes you wonder like how much he's trying now, or if he's just like fuck it, I'm just gonna embrace it, kind of a thing.
He's also like 40 now, so I guess
for sure
he can get away with it.
I would definitely say his peak vocal range was We Don't Need a Whisper.
Yes.
Is like Tom's best vocal work.
Dude, whenever I think of Tom's voice, it's always like it's The Gift or a Valkyrie Missile. Just, I don't know. Just that whole record in general, they like perfected what they were doing. That's great.
For sure. So I guess now getting off the Blink topic, I can go back to my normal background, but well, I guess it's kind of a segue. So in I can't remember what year it is, but I went to Bunbury and Blink 182 was supposed to play it, and they had to cancel 3 days before. And I remember being so heartbroken, and I still went. But the next year, you guys got to play Bunbury. Do you kind of want to tell me about that experience and how that opportunity came to be?
Man, that was such a surreal experience. It started we played Bunbury in 2019, but in 2018, it was like 4 months of me being into the band. Like I was pretty young into this whole thing. And we joined this Battle of the Band contest. Oh my gosh. It was a Hollywood Gaming Casino, somewhere around there. The name's blanking. But anyways, there was like a voting thing, and then it all capped off with, I think it was 4 or 5 bands playing live to like a set of judges, and then there was like a voting thing. And I was dead set that we were probably going to lose this thing because all the other bands were pretty good. And I just never really trust the whole Battle of the Bands thing a lot of the times. So especially because that same day that we were doing that Battle of the Bands thing, we played Dayton is for Lovers with Hawthorne Heights. It's their music festival they throw in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, so we played that in the afternoon, went over to the Battle of the Bands show, and the winner of the Battle of the Bands contest gets a spot on Bunbury. So we played our set, and we're exhausted at this point. Like I'm like barely moving around or anything. I think my cable comes unplugged middle of the set, and I have to like run to the other side of the stage to plug it into my pedal board. Like it was a disaster. So we get off stage, and I'm like apologizing to everyone. I'm like, I'm sorry, I blew it, guys. And then we go up on stage, and they surprisingly announced that we won, which is really cool. So we got our spot on Bunbury, and fast forward to June 1st, May 31st, somewhere around there, 2019, we get there. Our minds pretty much all collectively blew at the same time. I would wager. We had like a trailer, which is insane. I don't know. But we got to play, I think it was the river stage, which is ironic because it was not by the river. So you've been to Bunbury, so you're familiar with the land, right?
Yeah.
There's like a little like amphitheater area right next to the river that actually flooded that morning. So they had to move everything up. We played at like 2:00, started with a decent sized crowd, and then just continued to grow. And our minds blew a little bit more. It was just an incredible experience. We got to meet everyone afterward, which was really cool. It was like our first like legit meet and greet. Everyone was super sweet. We met friends there that we still talk to this day. But probably my second favorite part, besides being on stage and just like doing that whole thing, we got to see Fall Out Boy side stage.
That's sick.
Yeah, dude. In terms of like influential artists, they're probably like right under like Blink, Angels, Boxcar for me. Plus 44 too, but you know. So yeah, we got to see Fall Out Boy side stage. We saw him like walk into like the actual stage, and we see Patrick, and we're like, oh my god, that's Patrick. And it was especially big for Kramer. Fall Out Boy is Kramer. It's Kramer's favorite band, like of all time. So we're all like hyperventilating, and Patrick is walking by, and he just gives us one of these.
Nice.
Fedora or whatever.
Just a tip of the cap.
Just a little my lady, you know. And that pretty much made everything. Like I'm pretty sure all of us think back to that. And then we got to see them kill it. There were fireworks going off the whole time because it was right next to. Oops, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good.
We're good.
Yep.
Because it was right next to the Reds stadium, so they had fireworks going for like the whole set, which didn't seem feasible to me. But yeah, the whole experience, man, was insane. Nothing like too crazy happened in terms of like things going wrong. I wish I had like some insane story of like someone, you know, crashing their car or something. Not fatally, but you know. Yeah. One thing I will say that stuck with me, because I'm thinking back to Bunbury. There were these bathrooms that were for like artists only, right? I'm going back there. It was after our set. I'm about to like go change or whatever, and I see this dude in a black jumpsuit, black bobby wig, and his face is spray painted like glittery gray or silver. Okay. I guess that's what glittery gray is. And I'm really thrown off. And then 40 minutes later, we realize Poppy's playing. And then we see those dudes walk stage. And dude, it was the spookiest thing ever seeing that guy walk back there. So yeah, that's like really the only thing that sticks out to me. But yeah, it was a really fun time.
Who all played Bunbury that year besides Fall Out Boy?
So Fall Out Boy was our first. Yeah, there were quite a few. Fall Out Boy was our headliner because we played on Friday. Saturday, I believe, was the 1975, which I'm really bummed I didn't get to see because we only got like the one day. I'm sure we could talk at length about the 1975 too, because I think we're both pretty in deep on that.
Yep.
And Sunday, I believe it was Greta Van Fleet, which was, I wish I could have seen that too. I have mad respect for those guys. Yeah, so there's a lot of notable artists. So it was really fun.
Yeah, speaking of the 1975, I'm pretty sure the last time we played together in the green room, between us and Honeybee Well, you guys and you versus yesterday. I think Jackie from City Mouth and
Yep.
Oversight Gallery, who also played. We all had a debate on what was the best Blink album and what was the best 1975 album, and it got extremely heated backstage. We were like, no, because it was just after 1975 had released A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, and so it got a heated. And you said that you think they're self-titled is their best, or do you think I Like It When You Sleep?
So I remember this very specifically, that you backed me up on this. We had a temporary alliance.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I think it was, I don't want to name names. So I'll just say someone in one of our bands, because I can't remember who, and I don't want to slander this person. They were implying that their self-titled 1975 record was their best, and everything after that has been just dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both you and I stood up and said, I Like It When You Sleep is by far their best work. And I think the ranking we had, I Like It When You Sleep, number 1.
Yep.
Self-titled, number 2.
Yep.
And at that time, Brief Inquiry is number 3. And it was only by slim margin. I think that's what we had.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, it was heated.
Another thing was like, well, because another debate was, are we considering the deluxe version of the self-titled, which includes like all of the EPs? And someone was like, well, yeah, that's their best work. I'm like, well, no, because it includes all of their EPs. That's like a whole nother album.
Yeah, that it feels wrong to include that stuff. I don't know. It feels like cheating.
Yeah. Have you listened to their new record at all?
So I haven't. I'll explain why.
Okay.
I am chronically bad at watching things or listening to things in a timely manner. When a Brief Inquiry came out, it took me 2 months. I would just listen to the singles and be like, okay, I'm not ready. I got to sit in bed with all the lights off, got to have my headphones in and just veg out for like an hour.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't been able to do that yet. But from what I've heard, the new record is good. And that's about it. But that's just me. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin anything. So I'll kind of stick to what I'm saying is limited. But it's a very there's a lot of filler and there's a lot of killer. So its high points are incredible, some of their best work, and some of the filler is like it feels like it was just a demo that they had on George's laptop that they threw together real quick to like
just to get song total.
Yeah. But there's a song called I Think There's Something You Should Know.
Okay.
And that is my favorite song that isn't maybe on the whole record, but out of the ones that weren't the singles.
Okay.
So definitely big fan of that. So you need to check out that one for sure.
I'll do that. I'll keep you updated. Could I get away with just listening to that one, or do I need to do like the whole experience? What do you think?
No, you could. No, it's like a separate entity because a lot of the songs don't blend into each other like they do on like the track listing. I was kind of upset with because it doesn't really flow all that well, like how it does on because like on I Like It When You Sleep, it's like the transitions from like the song like it feels like every song was placed where it is like on purpose.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Man, that's a bummer too, because I know they're very record focused in their writing. They don't. I think Maddie's coming out or has come out very hard against just being a single band. You know, that's kind of a bummer to hear that a lot of it's filler. That's what my girlfriend was telling me too. She was saying that like the singles are great and there's a couple bangers, but a lot of it is filler. So I'll definitely give it a shot.
For sure. That's what I was. Have you ever got to see them live?
Yes, twice. And they were incredible. I haven't seen them since Inquiry came out, though.
Okay. What show did you go to?
So, I think it was NKU in 2017. It was the first one, Northern Kentucky University, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So that was like just when I Like When You Sleep came out. And that was a killer show. I think the first time you see them is definitely something really special.
Yeah, for sure. Because their show is like a spectacle.
Absolutely. The production on it is
Mm-hmm.
just like the stage design and how it's different for every era is just incredible. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I saw them, oh man. So that was actually November 2016. So it was even more recent. Then I saw them in like May of 2017 at Express Live in Columbus. And that was a killer show too. They're just incredible. Yeah. Yeah, man. I love it.
So I remember after A Brief Inquiry came out, me and like 10 friends, we all, because the closest show was in Cincinnati. And so we all rented at one Airbnb apartment and all crammed into this tiny Airbnb. And we woke up at like 8 that morning to get in line. And we were like the first 100 people to get in line.
Man,
so they
awesome.
gave us a bracelet and let us leave and could come back before the show started and still keep our spot in line, which like was nuts. Like we thought we were going to have to be out there. Yeah, we thought we were going to have to be out there all day.
Yeah.
So we were front row, dead center, like up against the gate, and
oh my gosh,
it was. I took a Honeybee Well shirt in my fanny pack, and I
remember this.
I waved it at Maddie, and he was like, "Yeah," and I tossed it to him, and he caught it, and then he tossed it to his guitar tech. I was like, "Holy shit, what just happened?"
Yeah, dude. I remember seeing that photo and losing my mind. I was so jealous. So sick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it still is like my background on my phone. Yeah,
I don't blame you. It would be for me too.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of hard to beat. Like on my lock screen, it's the picture of when I got VIP and got to meet Tom, and then on the on like the home screen, it's Maddie catching the Honeybee Well shirt.
Dude, those are two great moments. I'm very jealous of it.
Which, like, how that photo got captured is I just happened to have a friend who had a photo pass and was like in the pit, like doing photos for that show, and he just happened to catch that exact moment out of the entire show.
Man, dude, that's so sick.
I know.
I have one experience with the photo pit that goes back to Bunbury, which I forgot to mention. This is the only thing of note, and we'll cap off Bunbury at this. But so Fall Out Boy's playing, and we bring our photographer friend, Jesse. He does killer work. And he's been shooting the whole thing for us, and he has this extra camera that's just completely it's broken. And he was like, "Hey, man, I know you also like Fall Out Boy. I have this broken camera here. Do you want to take my photo pass and just like fake it so you can see Fall Out Boy super close?" So I like go up there and I'm like holding the lanyard and I'm like shaking and I'm like making sure they don't see the camera. And I'm like, "I swear I know what I'm doing." I hit click. And I get in there somehow, and I'm right next to Pete's like fire base, the one where he was like a headstock. You can like feel the heat on it. And I'm just like taking these like very clearly fake pictures. Like the camera's not even on, and like I'm just like trying to make sure I'm not in the way of anybody. And like I'm like sorry, and I'm like backing away and stuff. But yeah, so I got to see Fall Out Boy very up close and personal for the first 3 songs. So much so that someone checked and tried to make sure I was a legit photographer within those 3 songs, like the middle part. And I like showed them my pass again, like super shaky. And they somehow let me continue, even though they saw my camera definitely wasn't on. That's so awesome. Yeah, I love the photo fit. So hopefully I can do that again sometime. That'd be fine.
Yeah, just fake it till you make it kind of a thing.
Dude, absolutely.
That's awesome. So so you got the DX shirt on. Have you been watching a lot of wrestling during all this?
Yeah, man, I have been fascinated with how they've been handling this whole thing. Like the first week they shut things down, I was like flabbergasted. I thought they handled it really well at first. They just do it at the Performance Center. No one's actually there. So everything's okay, and it was like really sweet for the first couple weeks. And then like the WrestleMania build, I was like glued to the TV. So like, how are they going to do like a WrestleMania with no audience? That's insane. Yeah. And then WrestleMania happened, and I genuinely think it's one of my favorite WrestleManias ever. I don't know.
Really?
Like, what were your thoughts on it?
So I was potentially going to WrestleMania.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
So, because I graduated college this year, and my dad was like, "All right, you can either have $1,000 as your graduation gift, or we can go to WrestleMania." And I was like, "Yo!" And so like, he's like, "All right, well, you got to let me know like within like this time frame because I still have like I'll have to get the tickets and then once like all the COVID stuff kind of started hitting, and I was like, "Yep, it's not gonna happen." But yeah, I mean, it was the John Cena versus the Fiend match was amazing.
Loved it.
That's what stole the show for me. That was my favorite thing. Just because I think the Fiend is like my favorite, maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorite like WWE characters right now.
Absolutely.
I'm super serious to see what they continue to do with him. The Undertaker versus AJ Styles Boneyard match was phenomenal.
Caught it.
Oh, phenomenal! That was not intended. That was not intended. Yeah, completely pun awesome. There. But yeah, it was good. I do like how they broke it up into 2 nights. It made it.
I think that worked really, really good. I
don't think I could have sat there for 7 or 8 hours in an empty arena watching those matches.
The one thing that kind of bummed me out is I thought those 2 nights were just going to be like 3-hour shows or maybe 2.5 hour. And I feel like they gave us, what was it? Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley for like no reason. Yeah. They were going to face off because we need to fill 30 minutes. Yeah. And they were like, okay. But like what the content they were actually building for was phenomenal again.
Yeah.
I loved the Boneyard match. I think that wins just by a little bit over the Fiend match for me. I love the Fiend match though. It's such just a mind freak, just pure Chris Angel nonsense there. The tag match was probably like my favorite in-ring match though, with John Morrison and Kofi Kingston and Jimmy or Jay Uso. I'm not sure which one it was. Yeah. So dude, it was a great night overall, a great weekend overall. I really enjoyed it.
So when did you get into wrestling? Like, were you interested in it as a kid, and then, or how's that all for you?
So I have been watching wrestling probably since I was 2 or 3. My brother was really into it. My brother is probably, I think, 12 years older than me. So he was a kid during the Attitude Era. So he got to experience Stone Cold and The Rock and all these great figures with an actual, with a consciousness, because I was too young to like really experience it. I remember my first experience was watching pre-rapper John Cena, pre-Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena. So like in the weird,
did you have the weird shorts?
Yeah, you got it. The prototype kind of stuff. I remember latching onto that. Then when we turned into the rapper guy, I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. So I was really into that. And then the Kurt Angle stuff was great. I was a big Brock Lesnar guy. And I really went strong from ages 3 to 10. And then I was having I remember this so specifically. I remember having a sleepover with my buddy, and we were playing SmackDown versus Raw 07 or something like that on the PS2. And he was like, hey man, it's not real, right? And I was like, shut up. And he was like, no, I promise. My dad told me it's not real. And I was like, your dad's a liar.
Your dad's full of shit.
Yeah, my dad can beat up your dad. Yeah. So that was world crushing, so much so that whenever I watched it after that, I was like, I can't even do it. I'm like, I'm sure I didn't know what depression was back then, but I'm pretty sure that's what that felt like. I was what's the point of even watching this? It's just, so I went away for a few years, and then I think it was 2015. I saw Battleground trending on Twitter, and I saw the Undertaker and Seth Rollins were doing a bit. It was Brock Lesnar, the Undertaker, Seth Rollins. It was the 3 of them doing something. I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually kind of fun. Knowing that it's, a work and actually enjoying it. So I sort of just slowly delved into that, started watching one Monday Night Raw a month, and then that turned into like 2 or 3, and then that turned into every week. And then by like summer of 2016, I was watching everything every week, and I've been in ever since.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I really got into it from probably 2009 to 2000 or 2000, probably 2007 to probably 2010 ish.
Nice.
Is when I was like as a kid like diehard into it, and then recently, probably within the we went on tour. I think it was probably 2 years, probably a little over a year ago now.
Mhm.
And one night we got trashed on tour, and we're like, dude, you know what sounds awesome right now? Watching some Jeff Hardy highlights. And someone
Nice.
was like, yes. And so like that is pretty much what reintroduced me back into wrestling. And it was right before last year's WrestleMania. And so pretty much ever since then, I've been like really dove into it and really fallen back in love with it. Just because, I mean, it's completely different experience than when you like watched it as a kid. Because as a kid,
sure.
like you're like viewing it as like something that's real. You're like, oh my God, you know. But now
Yeah.
like you can just be like a kind of like smart ass and like try to think of storylines, and like maybe it's just because like you know, we're both artists and, you know, creative people, so like I try to like plan out in my head like what I think would go well, and it's just a completely different experience, but just as fun, if not more fun.
Absolutely, dude. I remember like thinking these characters were like larger than life. I was like, wow, I can't believe Stone Cold is being beating up Booker T in this grocery store. How is this even allowed right now? And like all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Now it's super fun to go back and like watch that stuff and like realize that everything is like so masterfully crafted.
Yeah.
Except the women's stuff, which is horribly sexist, and I have to fast forward every time because it just messes me up.
It's so hard to watch. Like we just like let that happen on our TVs.
No one had a problem.
Like,
How did
no one said
problem?
anything? Like lingerie matches and like fantasy matches and all that stuff.
Dude,
and, like,
do you remember?
No one said anything.
Do you remember? I think it was when Edge was champion. He
Yeah,
had like a live sex celebration with what?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was questionable at best. It was not good
for sure.
But yeah, now it's fun to like go back and watch now and see like how the storylines are actually crafted and stuff, and just so you can sort of ride along. Like I always like think like, well, what would be really cool if Becky Lynch did this instead of this, or like what if her next feud is this instead of. It's just super fun.
Yeah. Did you ever get to go to shows as a kid?
I went to a few live events. I never got to go to a televised show, which I'm really bummed about. And then like the last time SmackDown came in my area, I had to like work or something, or I didn't have enough money for a ticket or something, some like real bum out reason why I couldn't go. So I'm still like working on getting to a televised event, but I did go to a couple live like house shows when I was a kid, and I got to see John Cena and Edge do their thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was super fun. I loved it.
Yeah, looking back, I my dad like would watch it with me, and he got really into it. And
nice.
his favorite was Santino, so that's why like it was always always his favorite wrestler. He just thought he was so funny, and so like when the opportunity came to get that cameo request, just to get him to say Happy Father's Day to my dad, I was like, I have to do that. It was awesome.
That's even more perfect. That's awesome. That'd be hilarious if he wasn't into Santino Marella, and you're like, I got you a wrestling cameo, and then it's just this dude. But that's even better. That's awesome.
Yeah. But so I got to go to the 2009 Royal Rumble.
Oh my gosh,
in Detroit. That was my Christmas present. And that was the one where Santino broke the record for the shortest amount of time ever in a Royal Rumble match.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so that was awesome. And that was also the same Royal Rumble where Matt Hardy turned on Jeff against Edge. And I remember as a kid being like, what? No way.
This is his brother. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch AEW at all, or do you?
Yeah. I'm a big supporter of AEW. I think it's awesome that they're doing it. I don't think it's anywhere near competition. Like a lot of people on Twitter being like, AEW is going to run WWE into the ground or whatever. I don't think that's. but it's really nice to have a good alternative that isn't Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
I am in love with Orange Cassidy. He is such a
Yep.
goofball. He's one of my favorites. And dude, seeing Jon Moxley actually care again
Mm-hmm.
is phenomenal. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been big into it.
That's what's like you said, I don't think they'll ever put WWE out of business. I don't think anyone ever will. But just to know that, like, if I want to watch something, because sometimes like like the booking decisions and storytelling on WWE, you're just like, what the hell am I watching right now?
Bonkers.
And so like to have that alternative where it's more like the wrestlers get to have more creative control. You can definitely tell it's like a lax, working environment. And it's been a lot of fun. Like there was Fighter Fest for
Yeah.
AEW. I watched that last night, and Chris Jericho was on commentary.
Mhm.
And dude, Chris Jericho on commentary, probably my favorite commentator of all time. And like,
Really?
it was amazing. He because yesterday was Canada Day, and so he
Oh,
wore a
no.
Canadian flag suit, and in
Oh, I
one of
love
the
it.
matches, someone hit a Canadian destroyer. He goes, "Oh, a Canadian destroyer! Happy Canada Day!"
That's even
And
better.
yeah, it was awesome.
Man, yeah, it's. I think they're doing a lot of really cool things, and I'm
Yeah.
really excited that they're doing well. They
Yeah.
really deserve it, for sure.
So, who are your top 3 wrestlers of all time, and then who are your top 3 currently in the game right now?
Oh, okay. Oh man, all right. Okay, I'm gonna go top 3 of all time first. Now, number 3 is kind of a hard spot, so I'm gonna go ahead and say, oh man, might be controversial. John Cena's at 3. I think he's really underrated, and he gets a little too much hate than he deserves.
Okay.
Obviously, the booking decisions for like a decade were horrible, but
Mhm.
just him being around that long, I gotta respect it.
Okay.
And he's just a really great dude too. And some of his matches are really fun. Like my favorite match of all time is CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank
Yep.
2011. Best
That's
match of all time.
Yep, that's my favorite.
Absolutely. So John Cena's hit number 3. Stone Cold is at number 2. Best character work of all time, bar none. It's just the best. And then CM Punk is my number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't that way for a while. It was Stone Cold was number 1. And I think in the last couple of years, me going back and watching a lot of the CM Punk stuff really made me fall in love with him even more. So yeah,
for sure.
yes, CM Punk, Stone Cold, Cena. 4th, Shawn Michaels, but that's just honorary. Yeah.
And then current guys?
Current guys. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. Number 3, Sami Zayn. I think he's incredibly underrated. And I love the stuff he does with Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go, oh, this is hard. Man, you put me on the spot here. Okay, I'm going to probably go ahead and go Jon Moxley, number 2, in terms of just like seeing where his career arc has been going, and like seeing where he's been for the last few years and where he is now. I love watching everything he does. Number one current guy. Man, I'm sorry for the silence. This is just hard. It's a lot of weight to this question.
Yeah.
See, for the longest time, it was Seth. I really loved what Seth was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got kind of bland on me for a little bit. And I'm liking what he's doing now. But in terms of just pure entertainment and just like every time I see him on screen, I'm excited. I'm loving the stuff Matt Hardy's doing right now in terms of character work.
For sure.
I think that he's on like a giant revival right now. Like for the last few years, and then he went into a down period again. And he's up. I gotta go Matt Hardy, man. I love seeing what he's doing. Yeah, so that's it. I guess, man. Feels, yeah. Okay, I'm locking it in. Final answer.
Okay, that's what I would say. All time for me is 1 Punk. That's what. It's. as selfishly as I want him to get back into the game, I just, I don't think it will happen. But number 2 is going to be Jericho.
Ooh, that's a good choice, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In my opinion, he's the GOAT because he's been successful in just about every company he's been in. He's been in ECW, he's been in WCW, he's been in WWE, he's been in New Japan. He's like what pretty much helped start AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere he's gone, he's been successful. So
yeah, okay. I think time will be very kind to him too. Looking back, sure. I think he'll definitely get even more credit for sure.
Yeah. And then number 3 is Stone Cold.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of current roster or current guys, number 1 has got to be Adam Cole.
Oh,
on NXT.
Man, that's a good choice too.
Yeah, he's been killing it. I'm excited to see what his future entails because he's been with NXT for a couple of years now. He's been the longest reigning NXT champion. So I'm curious to see if he goes up to the main roster or what kind of happens with him.
Yeah.
Number 2 is probably Aleister Black.
Oh man, he's good. Man, I'm starting to rethink my. All right, go ahead.
I'm curious. I'm very curious to see what they continue to do with him. I'd love to see him have a championship run. I think he's a total badass. Number 3 is probably The Fiend. The character's starting to go a little dull on me, just because they haven't really booked it very well. But when it first started, when he attacked Finn Balor, started attacking all these legends, I was like, dude, this is the best thing in wrestling right now.
Yes,
I just never knew when he was going to strike, which I really enjoyed.
I think it was really cool. Someone put when he was first really taken off. Mm-hmm. Someone on Twitter started putting this thread together of everyone's career trajectory kind of changing after they get attacked, and everyone's improving for the better after being attacked. Like Finn Balor turned heel and is in NXT and he's doing great for himself now. John Cena had the most entertaining feud he's had in forever with him. Yeah, Fiend is great. I just wish they didn't ruin him with Bill Goldberg. That's my thing.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard to look at it with any reverence because of that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So we have this segment on here called House Show Horror Stories. Doesn't necessarily have to be a house show. But just a show where pretty much everything that could have went wrong, or something awful just happened during the gig. Do you have any gigs that stand out in the back of your mind?
All right, I am not going to name anyone in this story. Just I don't want to stir up any tea, I guess.
Yeah.
So we were playing at. I'll say this. We were actually in Indianapolis.
Okay.
It was the one time we were at the Irving and you weren't there. And I'm really bummed because I wish you could have seen this. We were playing with Boys of Fall. Those are great dudes, by the way. I love those guys. And a couple other really great bands. But we open, then Boys of Fall plays a couple bands later, and then there's a hometown band. That's all I'll say.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I'm not going to say who. We can talk about it once we stop recording, just to make sure it's who I'm thinking of. But yes, continue.
You're probably right. You may have heard about this too. So they're the headliner, and the entire time the show's going on, they're just getting sloshed backstage. And they're talking about, we didn't even practice, man. Who cares? It's their hometown. They're going to love us, all this stuff. And there's a decent crowd. And then they go on. And everyone sort of goes up to the merch tables. And with the way the Irving is set up, the merch tables are very far from...
all the way in the back of the venue.
Yes, absolutely. So it's even more insulting. So everyone's just hanging out. And I think they're, they might have been taking pictures with one of the bands or whatever, and just having a good time. While this band is getting set up and they start to play, no one moves up front. And then the first or second song, they're like, hey, what's up, guys? Don't don't be scared of us. We don't bite. Feel free to come up here and hang out or whatever. There's maybe 2 people up there. And then they start getting more and more aggressive with getting the crowd to come back. And by like the 3rd or 4th song, they're like, man, this is bullshit. I can't believe you guys don't respect, a hometown band like this. This is fucking bullshit. And then in between songs, one of the merch guys from one of the bands goes, we don't support racists.
Ooh.
And I guess the band had said some awful stuff on Twitter at some point. And that's when things got really heated. I'm being very careful with my words here.
Yeah.
So a song goes by, and the singer... Also, their set was like 45 minutes long. Maybe
way
an
too
hour.
long.
Way too long.
Dude, at the Irving of all places, like, that's not a place for a 45-minute set. Like,
No,
I think the longest set that Honeybee Well has ever played there maybe max like 20, 22
I think we hit 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like
that's
that
all
was
you
the
need. Yeah, for sure.
So this guy starts making threats towards the merch guy and other people at the merch tables. And they're like, man, don't mess with us. I'm from the east side of Indianapolis. And then it was like, don't make me get my boys on you and all this stuff. And then these 2 dudes come from the front, and they like single out this guy, the merch guy, and they grab him and they pull him by the neck into like the little lobby area,
Yeah.
And then everyone just pours into there, and these guys start fighting while the band's playing, inciting all this violence, and everyone's like trying to break these guys up or whatever. And then they don't kick him out. I might be getting that part wrong. They may have done that in a later time, but they start walking around and like being like, "Was it you? Did you say it?" Like talking shit about the band up there. And at some point, they point to Mikey, our drummer, and he was like, "No, man, I swear I didn't do it." Like he was just sitting there watching the whole thing. And eventually, like, they go into like the green room and they're like trying to talk to people and stuff, just looking for a fight. And eventually, they kick him out or whatever. And everyone apologizes except the band on stage, of course, because they're too hammered to do anything. But yeah, that was probably the worst moment that I've witnessed, is someone grabbing this dude and pulling him into a lobby and fighting him.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a rough one, but great story. But man,
it is a great story, but also pretty fucked up.
Yeah. I think like my girlfriend was with me at the time, like at that show, and like we were both like on the verge of a panic attack. We're like, this is just way too much. Like we gotta go to the car. We gotta get out of here. And we were hanging outside in the car in the dead cold. It was a rough time.
Oof. Yeah. So that's what with you versus Yesterday, you guys have kind of taken the approach with releasing singles opposed to doing a full album. Is that intentional with trying to keep people's attention during this like social media kind of society where the attention span of the consumer is very limited now?
We started when I first joined the band. It was in spring of 2018, and we were just working on one single, and we released that. And the goal was to just do a couple singles lead up to an album. Excuse me, sorry. So we were working on those, and then in summer of 2018, we did a single with Sean O'Keefe, who's a great guy. He's actually the producer for our full-length album that we're working on. And he did a single called Stay. That's like our most recent release.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. Actually the second song I've ever been a part of, even though it's the most recent release. We did it a little earlier on, then released it almost a year later, last year. So
that's what it's kind of funny. So we also have a song called Stay. And so when you guys released that, I turned out, I was like, yo, guys, You versus Yesterday just released a song called "Stay," and then yours guys was like knocked it out of the park. I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, I was like, they've got the better "Stay," man.
No, man. Trust me. You guys are killing it. By the way, I'm loving the new record. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to get that in there at some point before it's incredible. I love it. Anyways, we were talking about the singles. So we had a few singles lined up, and then it was going to lead to an album. But then we realized we wanted to sort of space it out a little bit, doing the album and take our time and really make sure we're happy with it. So we did an acoustic EP with Seth Henderson at Always Be Genius. He's a really, really great guy, too. That was super fun. We put that out, I think, winter of 2018, like maybe December-ish. I don't know. Time's an illusion. But yeah, so we put that out, and then we decided, okay, we're just going to go full force with the record. And then we've just been super focused on that. Soon, I won't put a date on it, but we do have a single lined up. It's going to be super exciting. Awesome. We just got every mix back for the record. We just finished tracking the record in late February. So everything is done. It's just getting mixed, mastered, and then eventually the album's coming out. But my cat. Sorry, my cat's coming to say hi.
Cats are welcomed on this podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Come here. Come here, Katie.
What's your cat's name?
Yeah, it's Katie. Yeah, there
Katie.
she is. Say hi. She's in heat right now, and she is not happy about it.
That's what I just had to get my. We have me and my girlfriend. We have 3 orange tabbies.
Yeah,
we've got Robbie and Sansa, they're twins, and they're 3.
Aww.
And then I have a 8-month kitten, and his name is Pepperoni.
Oh, I love it.
And that's I just had to get him neutered the other weekend, and I still feel bad for him. I feel like he just woke up one day and just didn't know it was going to happen. And
where did she? Oh, she ran off. Yeah, we got my cat. I'll go back to the record here in a second.
No, you're good.
We got my cat Christmas time. I think it was like early January. It was like a week after Christmas. And we were planning on getting her spayed and everything. And then we had like the appointment set up, and then like COVID hit. Yeah. And we were like, probably should. And so now we're just kind of letting her do her thing. This is the first time she's been in heat in a minute. So yeah. Thankfully, she's doing okay. She's just laying down. But anyways, yeah, so we got the record finished. We're super excited. I can send you a mix after this if you'd like.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we just really took a methodical approach on it. We really wanted to take our time. This is the first album I've ever been a part of. I've only been a part of like EPs and single releases up to this point in any band. So I'm super, super excited for this thing, man. So yeah. It's coming soon. That's all I can say. I wish I could say more, but that's about it right now.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it. I'm sure a ton of other people do too.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So we have another segment that's a common theme on this podcast, and it's called "Only One Can Survive." And so I'm going to give you 3 albums, and only one of them can exist. The other 2 will cease to exist from history. And so I've had to do some digging obviously it was pretty easy because we have very similar music taste.
Yes,
to pick some important albums. But here we go. So only one of these can survive. So number 1 is going to be Blink's Self-Titled.
Right. Okay.
Number 2, the 1975 I Like It When You Sleep, for You're So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It.
And you nailed this.
Yeah, and number 3, Fall Out Boy, From Under the Cork Tree.
Okay.
Let's knock out the weakest link.
The weakest link? Oh, man, this hurts. But I'm probably going to throw Fall Out Boy under the bus first.
Okay.
Just because the other 2 are just so incredible. And I'm not saying Cork Tree is bad by any means. I love that record front to back. Every song is fantastic. But I've definitely replayed the other 2 a bit more. So I guess Cork Tree can go first. Man, this is just like the wrestler question. You're just hitting all the hard ones. Okay. Out of the 2, I'm most likely going to have to pick. Okay. Yeah, I'm picking Self-Titled. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm picking self-titled. I'm very conflicted if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Reasoning.
As you should be.
Yes, absolutely. I guess that's why this is hard. The 1975 record is super diverse and dynamic, and there's a lot you can get from it. But at some point, I can only go so long without like the punchy pop punk stuff, and I feel like just listening to the 1975 would take a toll at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go Blink just because it means the most to me out of any record ever.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Okay, that's a very tough question, man.
You nailed it on the head. I would have. That's the same exact order that I would have went. So.
Okay, that makes me feel way better.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Well, dude, it's been so great getting to catch up with you. It feels like it's been way too long, and we've got we had tons of and stuff in common to talk about. I knew when the second time we played together, we kind of talked about Blink in the 1975, and we've been catching up on social media, getting to talk about different wrestling stuff and seeing what you're tweeting and whatnot. But it was just it was great to catch up with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You too, man. I want to do this again. This was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything that you want to plug or promote before we wrap things up?
Just keep your eyes peeled on the socials, for the band socials. Something will be coming out sooner than you probably think. So
okay,
I'll throw it at that.
Awesome. Well, stick around to the end of this episode to listen to one of you versus yesterday's songs. Tyler, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah, and that's a wrap.
Hey, thanks for watching Gear Over Beer. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. If you'd like to support this show, make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for additional content like the video version of this podcast.